everybody. Great to be here with all of you guys tonight, especially with a few of my personal heroes, and especially this one. Most of you know Paul from his work and his life here in California, and while all that is special and praiseworthy, inspirational, and loving, I wanted to say something tonight about the Paul I knew before all this. When I was starting the 8th grade at Punahou School, it was in this fall of 1961. Freddie, you were going into the 9th grade. And Paul had graduated the spring before. And, it was... I was like a beginner surfer, and Paul, who was just like a summer past high school, was already a name. And back then, that's what we called the top surfers in Hawaii. And actual sightings were very few, but I remember when the good surfers had something to say about you, they always spoke in hushed tones and with reverence. Really, really great times, and surfing was a very small sport back then, a lot different from what it is today. And the Surfer magazine's first issue came out the year before, and I think they sold like 5,000 copies. And it was in the spring of 61 that I guess Severson figured he had enough of an audience that he decided to go publish quarterly. And I guess that was about the same time that you was finishing up your high school years. But in the 5th issue of Surfer magazine, they ran a story about a good day at Yokohama. And that's a fickle surf spot out past Makaha. On the back cover of that issue, there was a great picture of a lanky, skinny Paul who is stylishly dropping down this solid wall. And I really remembered that picture. I went, as my surfing progressed, and I started to go beyond my home break with surf chums of similar mediocre skills. There were several confirmed sightings at the better spots like Ala Moana and Number 3s. And, mostly I was just trying hard to stay out of the way of the guys that could surf. But somebody would say, "Hey, there goes Strauch." And I'd look around, and it's mostly like a UFO, this fleeting glimpse of somebody going faster than anybody else. Oh yeah, those are the days, man. And I guess it was about that time that the Cheater 5 poster came out, and man, I had that picture on my bedroom wall for years until the thumbtacks rusted out. But I know every one of us were just tried so hard to master that maneuver. We called it the Strauch 5. And, later on as surfing became a bigger part of my life and I was spending more time down at the beach, I got to see up close what everybody had been saying about this man's surfing abilities. He was something else. To me, everybody else was just riding the wave, but when Paul was on, he was dancing. He was dancing on the wave. He was like a Fred Astaire, or actually, to me, he was more like a Jackie Wilson. You remember him? He was the guy Michael Jackson got all his moves from. That was you, Paul. Man. we caught a wave, everybody would stop and watch, man, because it was really a thing of beauty. And, I remember your style, in a word, was just elegant. And everything you did was so graceful and so composed and just smooth as silk. Another thing I noticed too was when everybody Paul surfed and was back on the beach, standing around in their wet shorts. When you came in, you would go and change clothes. You put on long pants, shoes, comb your hair, nice shirt all tucked in, your belt perfect, Man, like I said, just elegance. Man. On the beach too, I wanted to be like you, man. And then that time we went to Australia in 1970. We represent Hawaii at the World Titles down in Victoria. George Downing was our coach, and he picked the team. We flew into Melbourne, and we rented 2 Holden station wagons at the airport there. And you and George and Ben Ipa, and the girls on the team, Sharon Weber and Ralph's 2 sisters, Anella and Martha, went in one car. And I remember right before the trip, George told me, "Hey, you know what? You're going to be in charge of the young guys." And I went, "What?" I couldn't even take care of myself, man. I don't know. So I was driving the other car the first time on the wrong side of the road. And, oh, man, remember that when we was trying to get out of that big city? It was early in the morning, a rush hour traffic, and all the people, walking down the sidewalks, going to work. It was the first time we saw the mini skirts. Remember that? The skirts so short on those long-legged Australian girls, all coolly hanging out. You guys are rolled down the windows, and you was beeping the horn, making big noise, hooting at all the Wahinis, and letting everybody know the Hawaiian team was there, man. And I remember Sharon and the girl, the Sun sisters in the back, laughing up and telling me about that. And and all the Aussie babes was all like smiling up, waving at you guys too. And me was in the back, sweating bullets, trying to keep up, hoping I didn't lose you guys. And the cops didn't pull me over. And oh man, yeah, those were the days, brother. And then we drove all the way down, we finally got out of the city, drove by all those farms in Geelong, drove past Torquay on that Great Ocean Road, all the way down to Lorne. And we got there to the Lorne Hotel. It was all ready for check-in. And they told us, "Hey, you guys late, man. Come on, hurry up. We got the parade. You guys got to march with all the other teams." "Oh, we just got here, man." Okay, did that. And then the next day we went to Bells Beach, and the surf was awesome, was big and perfect. And oh, boy, cold, too. And Uncle George talk to you and Ben into going out in just your shorts. Tell them, this is what the Hawaiians do, brother. I remember you guys shivering in the lineups, your lips all blue. But I remember you guys, you caught the best waves that day too, man. That was something else, yeah. And then the stories used to tell me about, the Duke team days and the quality time you got to spend with the Duke, and how you traveled all over with him, and you would go to these boring meetings and he would put on his dark glasses so he could go sleep. Until somebody would ask him one question and he'd give him the under the table signal, wake him up and tell him if he should answer yes or no. And Paul, the way he used to surf Sunset Beach too. I remember one time it was with Tiger Espere and BK, and we was watching you. We saw you take off in the peak on a solid West Peak wave. Fade. I thought he was going left, and then he just leaned into that turn at the bottom, came all the way around, right up to the top, set up that inside, rode him all the way to the channel without getting your hair wet. And BK, burying then turn around. You remember him, not a man of few words, or maybe no words. Turn around, look at me and Tiger. That's the way he surfs sunset. Paul, I don't know if you had any idea how much you influenced all of us, me especially, how much we looked up to you, how much we respected you and admired you and loved you, and how much we wanted to grow up to be like you. You know, I always felt that when surfing got big, this new world of surfing never really knew what you stood for and everything that you did for the sport. And I felt that they never really gave you the true recognition that you richly deserved, you know. And so I hope, you know, in some small way, this honor tonight makes up a little for that. And mahalo, Brother Paul. Mahalo for showing us the way. Not only how to surf with aloha, but more importantly, how to live with aloha. Thank you, Paul. At night when the shadows are falling, I'm alone and you say, calling to me.